back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today we're here to remind you that having sex in a pool full of squids is an actual fetish.
Yep. Straight up in, like, downtown Tokyo.
That's weird.
You could go in, like, some back alleys, and then, like, they put you and your partner or escort.
What's, like, the street lingo for that? Hey, you want to get tentacled? You want to get inked?
You want to get inked? Well, no, it's weird, because, like, so I saw it on a top 10, like, weirdest fetishes, and so, like, you go into, like, a pool of water, and there's just live squids, like, swimming around in there, and you just start going at it, and they, like, tickle you.
I want to know how that even got started. Just, like...
They literally took hentai to the next level.
I'm going to make up a story. I'm going to say it's, like, two love-crossed teens, like
Lovecraft,
who just having maybe not teens, maybe adults, I don't know, like just have an intense love for each other, right? And like the girl's like a free loving spirit, and the dude's like, but I can't let my parents down. I gotta be an academic scholar. And she's like, why can't you live and be yourself? And he's like, I can't. And then like there's like a moment where they finally admit each other's love to each other, and they fall into like a tank full of squids, and she's like, love me here. And he's like, and when this tank full of squids, that's gross. Be free. And then they go at it.
That's how it goes. That's how you want to go with it.
That's probably the most romantic way.
Instead of just like, yeah, this spot looks good, but there's squids. What did I just say?
Look, we only got half an hour. It's gonna take another 15 minutes to find another place, and I need just come on. Let's just get at this.
Right,
let's do it. Let's go now. Let me Squidward your SpongeBob. And then let me Plankton your Patrick Star. Ruining childhood memories, one podcast episode at a time.
Just one at a time. As long as we don't touch Rugrats.
As long as we don't touch Rugrats?
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that one. That one's gross.
That's just wrong. Even though there's a Rugrats porn.
I know.
It's Chucky banging Angelica. It's weird.
I swear to God, you've talked about it on this podcast before.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you have.
Maybe.
Oh, man. So let's jump right into it. Last time you went first with something you love and hate. Yep. You want me to go first this time?
Yeah.
So, okay then. So.
Well, you see how it goes.
Oh, man. For me, what I'm gonna pick on something I hate is like we're a little old to it, but it's still something that kind of annoys the crap out of me, and it's been kind of pissing me off a little bit. Is the whole Kylie Jenner's like the youngest billionaire ever, kind of thing, and that shit really pisses me off because she didn't really do anything to earn it, and I'm more so mad at all the people who have donated to her because it's just like. It's the obvious thing, and it should be more obvious, and people should think of this first, is that there's kids starving in other countries, there is poverty, there is...
Homeless vets,
there's all this stuff that your money could go to that would better serve our society and help make the infrastructure of our society stronger, but instead we're going to give our money to some bitch that probably doesn't give a shit about you. No offense, but I'm just being straight up here.
Well, like, and the other thing is that she didn't even come from poverty. She was
born into money.
Yeah.
She was born into money.
Like, because one of my friends on Facebook, again, it's off of Facebook, so I don't know how 100% accurate it is, but they posted an entire story how this one girl came from poverty and is like 2 years younger than her, is a self-made billionaire.
Yeah.
Like, legitly made her own business and everything without money to help take care of her dad.
Even if that's fake, let's just talk. I mentioned it before, but let's talk about Oprah. Okay? Mm-hmm. Oprah literally grew up in poverty. She grew up with nothing, grew up through abuse, through some very tragic, traumatic shit.
Yeah.
And she's one of the wealthiest women in the world now. And she's, people admire her because she's worked her ass off. Kylie Jenner, as far as I know, I think she's the one that, like, was in that stupid commercial where she gave a Pepsi to a SWAT guy.
Something like that.
You have no idea how bad I want him to pepper spray her. That commercial just...
Well, and, like, and the other thing that you also, like, people forget about Oprah also is that she became rich in a huge time where, like, that was unfathomable for a woman to be that wealthy and stuff like that and that well known. Because, like... there's the whole women's movement right now where, like, everyone's It's starting to get a little better. Except for
Extremists.
yeah. But like, I feel like there's a lot more acceptance for like that kind of stuff, and of course there's a lot more to it and stuff that we still need to work on. But like when Oprah got her wealth, I feel like that was in a time where it was still like the woman shouldn't leave the house and type style. Like
right.
that was more prevalent in people's minds.
Well,
than
and
nowadays.
it's just dumb. Uh-oh. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, it froze.
What's happening to the computer? I don't know if it's recording or not. This isn't good. She knows we're listening.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Are we still going?
I guess so.
I think we're still going.
All right.
Holy shit.
We'll just edit that part out.
I think we should keep it.
Okay,
It makes us more real and relatable. We're not perfect either. If you want to send us money to make us billionaires. But it just, I don't know, man. Like, it just kind of makes me angry because it's just like all this money could be going to such better things, and it's like Kylie Jenner, like, she'll probably say something like thank you, or as already said, like, thank you to everyone who supported me, or some bullshit like that.
She'll post a sex tape like her sisters.
Yeah. The funniest part is that the only reason why she's gotten more fame is just because, like, Kim basically, like, pimped out her own vagina.
Yeah, basically.
Well, actually, no, I guess her mom did. So, because, the mom is the greatest person in the entire world. I hate that fucking family, and I think what makes me more mad is that you can't talk bad about them without them getting more famous.
Yeah, that's also the shitty thing, because everyone always forgets that, Bruce killed a guy.
We're saying... Oh,
I'm just saying
Caitlyn,
again.
sorry.
I mean, he did it as Caitlyn killed a person and got away with it and got an award.
Right.
I'm never going to let people live that down,
No,
by the way.
We shouldn't.
So all you Caitlyn Jenner lovers, I'm just letting you know. Caitlyn killed a guy.
She's kind of a monster. That's what we're saying. She's kind of a monster. So that's kind of something I've been getting annoyed with and hate recently. But something I love is... So I'm going to protect this person's privacy. But someone we know, a friend of ours, reached out to me a few weeks ago. And this made me really happy. And I know it's going to make you happy. And I've told you about it already, so it has made you happy. But she's been going through a lot of struggles recently. And she reached out to me and said that, that she's loving our podcast, or he is loving our podcast. And they said that the only thing that's been able to make them smile recently was us. Yeah. We put a smile on their face and made their day better and have been making things easier for them. And that means a lot to us. Because obviously what we get out of this is we get to, watch horror movies and we get to talk about it. And we get to meet, creators in the horror community, whether it's comic books, directors, or even,
actresses, actors,
paranormal investigators. And we even get to meet bands, and that's all. And we love that. We love meeting people and talking to people, interviewing people. But when we have listeners who reach out to us and say, hey, I'm struggling with things going on inside me and inside my head and in my life in general, your podcast is the only thing that's making life a little easier for me and puts a smile on my face. That means a lot.
It does.
That.
It's humbling.
We can't put a price on that, and we would never try to. And just when people reach out to us and say, you make us laugh, you make us smile, that means a lot to us. Because for me, for my entire life, I've struggled with anxiety, manic depression, and even PTSD. And comedy and horror has always been my outlet for all that. That's how I've gotten through life. And when I can do that for someone else and give them that kind of outlet and help them along with that and make their life a little easier, a little better, that means a lot. And it just puts a good, real big smile on my heart. It makes me happy and know that we're doing something right.
Yeah.
So, to this listener and to all of you listeners who we do that for, thank you for continuing to support us and for letting us to put smiles on your faces.
Yeah, and we can't thank you all enough. It makes us feel better, and like we're doing our job right, and it makes us feel better knowing that people are enjoying this.
Yeah, so
it's humbling.
Thank you, people. We love you.
Love
we love you, ghouls and gals.
Love you.
We love you. If you get a tattoo of us on your body, you can come on the show.
Yeah.
I'm playing. Don't get a tattoo of us on your body unless you really want it. I don't want to be responsible for like a regrettable tattoo.
Yeah, when you're all old and your grandkids ask you, "Granddad, what's that tattoo?" "Oh, these guys made me laugh."
It's the best podcast you're ever gonna fucking hear, you little bitch. Oh man, who allows us to parent?
I don't know. Some people.
Oh man. All right, Cody, you go.
So it's kind of a mixed bag of like something I love and hate. It's actually the new WWE like all women's pay-per-view.
The Evolution?
Yeah, Evolution.
Is it Evolution or Evolution?
I don't know.
Evolution. I think it's just Evolution.
I'm going to pronounce it Evolution. Anyways, it's the new like WWE pay-per-view that's going to be coming up, and it's an all-female one. And so I think that's really cool, especially because like when I was getting like growing up watching wrestling and stuff like that, like I mean I watched a little bit near the end of the Attitude Era is when I started watching, and then during the Ruthless Aggression Era, like I didn't think of it at the time because I was a little kid and stuff like that. I didn't really care for like the women's wrestling and stuff as much, like the WWE female superstars.
Well, back then it was more about looking hot, not performing.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, Trish Stratus and Lita are two female superstars
Legends.
that paved the way for, like, actual female wrestling. I mean, they're the first ones in all of WWE to main event a Raw. Like, a Raw episode of Raw.
And then you can even take it back farther than that with...
Fabulous Moolah, and, like, when wrestling actually had some story, and it wasn't just like, I'm a hot bitch.
And then even the very, very first diva, what's her... I just had her name on my head. They now have like an actual like award ceremony for her for like new upcoming divas.
Fabulous Moolah.
Is it Fabulous Moolah?
Yeah, it's Fabulous Moolah and
no, there
what was her tag team partner? I can't remember.
She had a like curly like hair. Am I thinking of the same person?
Yeah, it's Fabulous Moolah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I mean, there's a lot of controversy around her also because they had it was the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royale, and they decided to take that out because a lot of limelight came out to how horrible she was to other divas, like backstage and stuff, like worse than Shawn Michaels was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so like, I'm excited about this pay-per-view because like, going from the Ruthless Aggression Era of like, if you had fake tits and had the model look, you were going to be a diva. It didn't matter about how good you were in the middle of the ring because all it boiled down to is who's going to tear whose shirt off, like, first and stuff like that. Because I mean there was legitimately bra and panties matches they used to do where like the whole point of the entire match was to get one of them into their bras and panties.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, when I was a horny teenager I totally always played the bra and panty matches on PS2.
I did too. I was always Tori Wilson.
We are only human. Okay, we're not gonna lie about this stuff. We're being honest with you listeners.
But now but now that like women's wrestling is like super revolutionized, I know like a lot of people or at least WWE fans are getting tired of hearing the women's revolution because it's kind of dead now. But at the same time, like Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, even Bayley to an extent, even though they ruined her character, like they're still great in-ring performers.
Yeah.
Like they actually put on good matches and stuff. And I'm actually really excited to see.
They're athletes.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. They're athletes.
Mm-hmm. And I'll still argue that Charlotte Flair has the best moonsault out of all superstars, male or female. It's beautiful.
Get behind that.
It's on point. But like I'm excited about that, but one thing that I hate about it is that like a lot of people are saying it's just because when they did the Greatest Royal Rumble in Israel, I believe, the women's wrestlers weren't allowed to wrestle out there, which I understand, like that could be a little upsetting, but that's their culture, is that they can't have, their culture is how women are portrayed and stuff like that out there. They need to be wearing their, I'm sorry if I actually say this wrong, sheiks? Is that what they're called?
Maybe.
But they, like the full body, like they're only allowed to see their eyes and stuff like that out in public and stuff.
Look, we're experts on horror here, okay?
Yeah.
Not cultures. We're going to mess some things up along the way.
Yeah. Anyways.
So we apologize if we offend anyone. We're not trying to. We're just two dudes.
Yeah, and so some people are saying it's like only because they're having an all women's pay-per-view just because there was an all men's pay-per-view. Which, by the way, the Greatest Royal Rumble wasn't a pay-per-view. It was an overhyped house show. Go and watch it. It was not a pay-per-view. I fucking fight that to a T. And I think it's actually really cool that they're having an all women's pay-per-view. There's enough actual women wrestlers now. They have the talent also. They have the in-ring capability to actually hold up a pay-per-view by themselves.
Well, and to add on to what you're saying, like, I'm disgusted with how a lot of, like, I haven't seen as many female viewers, but I've been disgusted with a lot of how male viewers are responding, like, oh, well, I know what I'm not going to watch, or this is boring. I'm like, fuck off, dude. Pure and simple. You might not want to admit it, but the divas are more exciting to watch these days than the male wrestlers. And the only reason I say that is because they're coming out of the wet work and they're actually performing. They're not trying to just sell looks. They're actually performing and putting themselves at risk. And just like the male wrestlers, there are some that are better at it than others. And pure and simple, like, I get more excited to watch the diva matches these days because, for fuck's sake, I know Roman Reigns is going to be thrown in at some point, and that's just ruining everything for me.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, I know who's going to main event this pay-per-view. Roman Reigns. Oh, look, Roman Reigns is on the pay-per-view. He must be in the main event.
And
then when you see the female stars and stuff like that, like, you never really know who's going to be fighting for the title. I mean, you could always, like, throw in Charlotte Flair. She might actually be fighting for the title, and that's always a safe bet. But she's amazing in the ring, amazing at selling and stuff like that. Like, can't give her enough, like... she comes from the Flairs. She's Ric Flair's daughter. Of course she's going to be amazing.
Well, and it just shows the immaturity of some of, you know, the audience of the WWE who are just like, oh, women wrestlers? Look, dude, women jokes are fucking dead and gone. Get laid, get some new material. It's not fucking funny anymore because it's just dead material. It's not. Like, and you can go on and say, oh, you know, Matt's being a liberal, diehard, triggered, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. You can say whatever the fuck you want. Fact of the matter is, Charlotte is doing a better job than AJ Styles.
No.
I know. It's just, I wanted to see,
like, no.
I just wanted to see your reaction on that one. But no. Pure and simple.
She's doing better than Roman Reigns.
Well, everyone's doing better.
I know.
but the thing is, it's just like, we, you know, as WWE fans, wrestling fans, we do kind of like want our, the WWE and wrestling to be taken a little more serious and whatnot. But when we react like this to, you know, progressive movements, it hurts the case.
Yeah, like, you know, like the whole entire thing about when Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks headlined Hell in a Cell, like, there was some flack about that, like, oh, they're having the women, like, headline Hell in a Cell. Oh, my God, I'm not even going to watch this. And it was the best Hell in a Cell match of the night.
I liked it.
It was dope.
That is the only match I remember from that pay-per-view.
Exactly.
All the other ones, I don't remember, because they were, I get, for me, and this is just for me, I feel like the other ones were more boring to watch. That one was exciting.
Well, yeah, it started off with Charlotte Flair powerbombing Sasha Banks off the cell through a table. Yeah. I was like, oh, shit.
What?
Yeah, that, like, the only thing that I know that I agree with that's going against the pay-per-view, and this is from What Culture WWE, which I love What Culture Wrestling.
Shout out.
Shout out. Love you guys, especially you, Jules. I want to be best friends with you.
You know, the podcast that you don't listen to if you ever hear us.
I know. But the one good thing that him and Adam Cleary, like, pointed out was that, like, while they are making strides in for WWE, because this isn't a new thing in TNA, like the women's wrestling in TNA is on point, and, like, they actually do great storylines, is that WWE is kind of struggling with making good storylines for the women's wrestling, which is, I say, is bullshit on Raw for the most part, because Raw has 3 hours, and they still can't make good content to split up for the women.
Raw's gone down.
Yeah, seriously. SmackDown is, like, on point because they have a shorter time period, so you need to get their shit. They're like, we need to get our shit done, storylines done, and it's better product, in my opinion. While Raw, like, they have 3 hours. They can't dedicate a whole hour programming to just the women's development and stuff like that. Like, I thought, like, you have 3 hours. Might as well do that. Doesn't need to be Roman Reigns every other shot.
Yeah.
Like, fucking hell. And so, like, that's the only thing I feel is going against it, is that I don't think the WWE is going to be putting enough effort into storylines building up for the pay-per-view. But that's the only thing. Otherwise, they have the talent.
Yeah.
And, like, even Carmella, like, she's gotten so much better in the ring. She's already great on the mic.
Yeah.
So, I just want her to lose that title, though.
Right.
She should have lost it to Asuka. Just saying. But, yeah, I mean, so that's, like, a mix of, like, what I love and hate is that I'm excited for this pay-per-view. I think it's going to be fun because those women are going to, like, tear it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. that is what it is.
Yep.
Before we do these movie reviews, let's take a really quick break, and we'll jump right at it, all right?
Okay.
And we're back.
Back
again.
Guess who's back?
Tell a friend.
Guess who's back?
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
You know, I think they're going to be pretty upset that we made 2 Slim Shady references in 2 episodes. Back to back.
But would the real Slim Shady please stand up? Please stand up.
I hope we don't get hate on for that. Like, actually get an email
Dude,
from
we
Eminem.
are now like 32 episodes in. If we haven't gotten hate yet.
I was talking about, like, from Eminem. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Publicity is publicity. If Eminem shouts us out, I'll be like, look at these bitches. Or however he would respond to us talking about him.
Yeah.
I'm just going to accept it and be like, yeah, fuck you, Eminem. Keep talking about us.
I'm going to fangirl. I'm like, oh my God. I don't care that he's dissing us. Eminem is dissing us.
We're the best in the world. Do all your other podcasts get dissed by Eminem? No, because we suck.
I'd cry.
We're number 2. We're number 2.
Who's number 1?
It's a reference from Whip It.
Oh, who's number 1?
We're number 1. We're number 1.
Oh,
man. Okay. So, listeners, because we talked about comic books,
sorry.
Cody's yelling at his cat.
Patches is being a jerk.
Sorry. Get a dog, everyone.
Damn it, Patches.
Cats are what, are said to be.
Evil.
They're mean. I'm just saying, I've never had a dog poop in my backpack or pee in it. Just saying.
I have.
You have?
I have.
Why?
She had very bad anxiety.
That's anxiety.
I'm just saying.
The cat we have purposely did it because she's a bitch. I hate it when people get so upset. They're like, I can't believe you're being so mean to the cat. I'm like, she doesn't even fucking understand what I'm saying.
It's alright. Patches is an asshole whenever Dev and Audrey are over. Like, she'll okay, I guess I'll sleep on the corner of the bed. And then, I touch her once. She just goes, meow, meow, meow. I'm just like, oh my God. She started clawing up my corner of my wall because, Dev was in her spot, apparently, even though Patches never sleeps where Dev sleeps. What?
See, now Patches is yelling in the background.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna go catapult that cat. I'm just kidding. We love animals.
Even when they're little assholes.
We love them when they're being little buttholes.
It's all right. I call her my little gremlin.
We love them when they're being little Patrick Stars.
Can I take your meow, sir? Can I take your meow, sir?
It's the science of obology. This is the SpongeBob episode. Oh my God. You know what we need to do? We need to start watching SpongeBob episodes and make a podcast about it and start taking them apart. I feel like Patrick's character really developed in this episode. You can see the correlation and chemistry between him and SpongeBob. As it's growing, he's beginning to get more independent.
No, he hasn't.
I know.
Have you seen the newest episodes? Patrick, solely responds only when SpongeBob's there. Otherwise, he's just a starfish on a rock.
Oh, man. All right, so listeners, because we talked about comic books in our last episode, we're going to talk about horror movies based off comic books.
What? It's related to the most recent episode. We never do that.
All right, so Cody, you're going to start us off. Yeah. What is your movie and what are you reviewing?
So I'm actually really excited about this because I'm doing 30 Days of Night. And what I'm really excited about this movie is I remember when I first saw this movie, I don't know, for some reason I could not get into it. And then I watched it a second time and I fucking loved the movie. I guess the first time I tried to watch it, it's just I don't know, I guess I caught it halfway through. So it's kind of a slow burn movie because how long is it? It's a fairly lengthy movie. If I remember, it's a little over 2 hours. Yeah, we both pick long movies.
It's an hour 53 minutes.
Never mind. I'm just gonna go cry in the corner now.
I mean, if it was an hour 55, we could round it up, but unfortunately,
no, it has to round down. Anyways, and so I liked the movie so much that I ended up reading the comic for it. And honestly, after reading the comic, it made the movie so much better. It's one of those few times where it's not like I read the comic and then I hated the movie. I actually like read the comic after seeing the movie several times, and it just made the story so much better. Of course, there were some things that the comic did better than the movie, but I ended up liking the movie more.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the case throughout this whole episode, is that the comic books are going to be better than the movies. But you got to keep in mind the reason, and I'm saying this to the listeners, you got to keep that in mind. Reason is because they're able to put more detail into comics than they are in a, hour and 53, 2 hour long movie. Mm-hmm. So it's.
Sorry, just going out there. You know what's actually really funny?
What?
I've been hearing a lot of arguments that Logan is better than Old Man Logan. And the MCU Civil War did better than the...
Okay, that is not true. The MCU Civil War is good on its own, but you cannot compare it to the comic book one. It's better than Civil War 2 and the new, when they did a second follow-up Civil War to the first Civil War.
Well, because that one was shoehorned in.
The follow-up one we're talking about? Yeah, that one sucked. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It has its moments, but overall, it's very...
Well, I felt like it made no sense of, the sides.
That's a separate discussion for a separate podcast episode.
But anyways, back to 30 Days of Night. So just quick synopsis of it. It's after an Alaskan town is plunged into darkness for a month, it is attacked by a bloodthirsty gang of vampires. And this is vampires done right. Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
Super gross, ugly vampires.
Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about the one thing that I actually did like about it. Oh yeah, I guess so. Director David Slade, writer Steve Niles, he did the screenplay. Stuart Beatty.
Okay.
Screenplay. It stars Josh Hartnett, Melissa George, and Danny Huston.
Sorry, listeners. Cody was throwing a fit because I reminded him to
say who's the director. To it.
He's getting all upset now.
Because you're rushing me.
Now he's going to go walk off.
God, this is done.
Baby, come back. Baby, you can blame it all on me.
Jesus. But yeah, so no, I don't even remember what I was trying to say about it.
So you were talking about how vampires are done right.
Yeah, so the vampires done right in this one, and the one thing that I actually liked about it, their kind of take on the vampires, they didn't just suck the blood, do little bite and then suck the blood out of the neck. They fucking tore the people apart in this movie.
Yes, and there's only one other modern vampire movie that does that as well, but I'm not going to say what it is because I'm going to save that for our October episodes.
I'm kind of curious now.
You already know what it is.
I'll tell you afterwards. But it's bugging me now.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Fine.
I'll tell you afterwards. But no, I agree with you because the vampires in this one, they're what vampires are supposed to look like. They're ugly, gross, bloody,
this one,
savage.
And the cool thing about this one is that the vampires were actually subtle changes.
Yeah.
So they looked like their normal person, but they just had all the sharp teeth. Their fingernails were all long and sharp and stuff like that, kind of like blades. Yeah. And they moved a lot more animalistic.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Because when they're hunting.
Yeah. And so I liked it a lot. And my biggest critique though of the entire movie is it doesn't really explain why they're there. They just kind of pop up. It's kind of cool because it's you're never going to know about a crisis that ends up happening. You know, it's just kind of sudden. So it kind of puts you in the shoes of to be fair, townspeople.
I guess you could debate it. They kind of touch on it, underhandedly a little bit by saying, we've been around for ages. This is our hunting ground, so on and so forth.
When they find the Alaskan town, it's the first time they ever found it. They even reference it. They say, why haven't we found this place before?
That's right.
Yeah.
But they still have hinted that, they've been around for ages. But I get what you're saying. But
yeah, no, they do hint that, and they hint at they have a process that they have to go through because they set the human that they said they promised him change to become a vampire and stuff.
Right.
And he goes in, destroys all the satellite phones, kills all the dogs to warn people that the vampire's there and stuff like that. So the other thing that bugged me about it was when he destroys all the satellite phones, because this movie's based in...
It's Alaska, right? It's Alaska.
Year.
Oh, sorry.
2007. So cell phones were a thing. So I don't know if in the small... I'm just going to... This is just from my own thing. It's I don't know if in small towns and stuff like that. This was before like cell phones were huge.
I think it's because like the town is more of a barren kind of place, so like they need satellite phones because that's the only way they could get a signal.
Okay, because that was the only thing that bugged me. Because
sorry, go ahead.
Well, they had cell phones. Like you see Josh Hartnett's character and his wife, like they'll use a cell phone and stuff like that, not just satellite phones. And like when shit starts hitting the fan, I was kind of like, if you have signal, why don't you call someone? Like,
well,
because they're able to call each other.
Well, they probably need satellite phones to reach outside, but they can probably use cell phones within like the town. I mean, because I'm just saying, like, probably the weather, because of how severe it is, probably affects signal, and so like that's why the army uses satellite phones because those have stronger signals. It's easier to reach like help.
That could be it. That was just one thing that kind of bugged me.
Although now thinking about it, it would be pretty funny if like someone would just text me like, "Vampires here, come help, LOL."
Yeah. And the other person on the other side would just like, "Rafflecopter, get out of here."
Eggplant emoji. Waterwork.
Yeah. So that was one thing that bugged me, but like all in all, I really enjoyed this movie, and like it kept me hooked. You like, don't get me wrong, it's a slow movie. It really is a slow movie and a slow burn. But when like shit hits the fan, like it hits. Like the action's like it's very action packed. They do a nice contrast with some of the darker parts, but like you still see everything. Unlike the Hulk movie, that first one with Eric Bana, where he's fighting the evil dogs in the forest and stuff like that, and you can't see shit.
Like such an interesting comparison.
I'm just saying some movies when they do the dark fights, you don't see anything, and this one like it's dark, but you can still see shit.
No, I get what you're saying. Also it's kind of like, I think you should probably touch on like how like they're hunting.
I should touch on? Well, yeah, I should touch on. You're going to tell me how to do my review.
Dude, your job, okay? Great, he's going to leave again.
Like that, I'm out.
Baby, come back.
But like, and how they hunt is actually really cool because it's very animalistic. Like they're crawling all over the rooftops and stuff and like stalking their prey. There's one point where like they try to appeal to the people's humanity by like they leave one teenager alive, this one teenage girl, and she's like walking through the entire place saying, "Help me, help, God, help me, wow, where's everyone?" Right. And she's all alone, and like everyone is like, "Oh my God," like the small group of people that you're following, they're like, "Oh my God, we need to go help her," but then like Josh Hartnett's character is like, "No, they're using her." Yeah. Like they're using her as bait, and so they don't go and help her, and you see all the vampires like flock around her. And she's like, "I tried to. I'm just so sorry." Like, before they just start slaughtering her. Yeah. And another cool thing that they touch on, which I thought was really cool, is the fact that the vampires were like, we can't turn anyone. Like, cut off their heads. Because that's the only way you can kill these vampires, really. Yeah. It's kind of like a mold between, like, zombies and vampires. Is that they're like, we can't turn them. So make sure you destroy their head, like, cut their head off. Instead of just, like, stake through the heart or anything. Like, that's not how you kill these vampires. You have to completely, like, destroy their brain.
You gotta fuck them up.
Yeah. And so, like, and it even shows it because, like, they'll shoot the vampires in the hearts and stuff, and the only way that they were able to kill them was when they, like, blew off their head. Yeah. And so I thought that was kind of cool, and I was like, that's an interesting take on that. Like, yes, they still have some of the same weaknesses as the normal vampire lore, like sunlight. Yeah. Didn't touch on the cross thing. Like, that didn't happen. Because, like, that was one thing that I was wondering is, like, because usually when you see a stereotypical small town, like, it's very religious. Right. And so, like, I'm surprised that when they actually learned that they were vampires, they weren't like, crosses, see if that worked or anything. So, like, I thought that was kind of cool that they didn't throw the religious factor in there. They were just like, we need to fucking kill these things. Like. Right. Yeah, and that was one thing that I like. One of the things that I thought was kind of cool, but also a little misplaced, because, like, in every vampire movie that I've ever seen, whether the crosses worked or not, they still, like, use it. Yeah.
And I kind of want to add in, like, I think what I like about this movie, if I can say, is no. Well, I tried. What I like about it is the effects in this movie.
Yeah, the effects are done really well, and they still hold up today.
Yeah, because I think one scene that's always just stood out to me was the bald vampire when he just smiles. It shows all his teeth.
Yeah.
Like that scene, like the way he does it, and the teeth, and it all just adds in together and goes together so well, and really just encompasses the predatory nature and over dominating power that the vampires have in this movie.
Yeah, because they have super strength, they have super speed. Like they fuck. One of the vampires just hauling ass after this truck going like as fast as it can down like this down the street, and it hots on top, and I was like, damn.
Well,
I'd shit myself. And all of a sudden, like on the top.
I mean, even if you want to bring it to more of like a metaphorical kind of level, like what I think makes it truly terrifying is that, you know, as humans, we're used to being the dominating species, and then so once a species is introduced to our ecosystem that's more superior than us when it comes to hunting, then, you know, we're now the elk or the elk or the fucking deer. We're the deer.
We're the deer in the headlights.
And they're the wolves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that's what makes it really terrifying.
Yeah, because like the two scenes that really stuck out to me in this one. Well, there's three actually. One, they touch. So they kind of. I can't remember. I think 28 Days Later came out before this movie.
It did.
And so, one scene that they both do really, really well is actually seeing a child that's turned into the monster.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's this one scene where it's a little bit of a spoiler, but they walk into this place when they're trying to get where the humans are trying to get more supplies, because they're, like, pretty much hiding from all of the vampires and stuff, and they realize that they need to go get more supplies from the drugstore, the convenience store.
Gotta get them drugs.
Yeah. And so, all of a sudden, like, one of them starts hearing, like, the sound, and they, like, turn the corner, and they see this little girl vampire eating someone. She goes, I'm done playing with this one. You want to play with me? She turns around. She's all demonic looking.
Yeah.
And so, like, you can see how it, like, really fucks them up when they end up having to kill the little girl vampire. Like, Josh Hartnett's little brother in the movie, he ends up killing her, and it messes him up throughout most of the movie. Like, he's just, like, super shaking, and he's like, I just killed a kid.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so
not too easy to come back from that.
No, and even though she was a vampire and trying to kill everybody, it's like it would still mess them up. And then the other two scenes, they're really short, but they're really good, is when the head vampire, he's like, him and a couple of the other vampires are like torturing this family. It's during the beginning of their like little invasion of the town, and he like puts on a record player, and he puts his finger on it and actually starts playing music.
Right.
It's like super distorted, but that always gets me. It like sends shivers up my spine. I'm like, ooh.
And I think that's like what really sells this movie is like the subtle things they add in throughout the chaos throughout the entire movie that really adds to it. Like what you're saying with the record playing with the little girl, and then even with what I said about, you know, the bald vampire with the way he smiles.
Yeah, and the other thing that they do really well in this movie, so the vampires speak their own language.
Yeah.
Like throughout the whole movie, they have their own language.
That was cool.
Yep, I thought that was really cool. And then there's one scene, it stuck with me. It was in the commercials, but like I never remembered it till I saw it a second time, and it finally stuck with me. Is when after they use that one girl as bait before they kill her, the main vampire the head vampire walks up to her, and she's like saying, "Please God, please help me, God," and he just like kneels down. It's one of the few times he uses English, and he goes, "God, no God," and I was just like, oh shit, he's gonna fuck her up. And they fuck her up.
And he fucked her up.
Yep. So I thought that was really cool. And like, yeah, all in all, like it's a really good movie. The ending is a little rough, I would say, because it's a happy ending, but it's not the happiest ending.
It's a bittersweet ending.
Yes. And then going off of that, just comparing it to the comic book. So one thing that the comic book does a lot better, in my opinion, is explaining why they're there, and then why no one knows of these vampires. Like, if they've been around for thousands of years, yes, you know, you just kind of have to, like, they assume the audience is, like, smart enough to know that if they've been around for thousands of years and no one's known about them, they have a process. And they show the process with destroying the satellite phones, destroying the dogs, and then they're like, we have to kill everyone, don't turn anyone, and then we have to burn the town. Like, the vampires go over their process.
Yeah.
And so that way it looks like it was just a natural disaster of how everyone died and stuff, like a giant fire in the town.
So they could stay in the shadows.
But in the comic books, like, the vampires are cocky as fuck in the comic. Like, they're just like, oh my god, we never found this. And then, like, they talk about the actual cabal of vampires that they're from, and they're like, we have to destroy the town because we can't let them know we went out. Because this is like a rogue set of vampires. And there's this whole, like, backstory on them that they actually touch on in the comics, which I thought was really cool. But one thing that I think the movie did better than the comic is that I think Josh Hartnett's character is a lot more relatable in the movie.
I agree.
Because in the comic, he's kind of douchey. Like, if I remember right, he's kind of a douchebag. And then his wife in the comics, like, they touch on the whole relationship because they're kind of separated. And so then they touch on it in the movie and stuff. That you can tell that they're separated, but they still love each other and stuff. But in the comic, like, she doesn't they don't really show affection for each other until the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending because you need to watch it. It's one of the most badass fights I've seen in a while.
I agree.
Like, in these kind of movies.
I agree.
And so, like, yeah, I definitely say, if you like vampire movies and you want to see, like, how a vampire movie should be with, like, all the, like, gore and just, like, brutality and just, like, sheer, like, animal instincts that vampires should have, in my opinion, like, definitely check this movie out. And I would even say read the comic. Like, it actually makes you... It's a good compare and contrast because the movie is almost shot for shot the comic. They just took out, like, the secret government agencies and stuff like that because you can tell with the movie that they didn't want to make the sequels. It's like it's a one standoff movie and they did it well and they did it right.
It's like what we just said. The comics are always going to be a little bit better than the movie just because they are able to include more detail than the movie is because the movie can only put so much in of the comic and it's just how it is. I mean, it's take it or leave it. I'd say probably avoid the sequel. I don't know.
Did they make a sequel?
They did.
They did? Mm-hmm. I never knew about that.
It did that well.
I knew that because the comic book sequels, like, they get a little campy, which kind of ruins it in a sense, but, like, they're not terrible.
No. I'm talking about the movie.
No, I know. That's why I'm like, I can see why it would do really bad. You can't go from this, like, super dark, gritty horror to what the sequel is in the comics.
Now see the vampire be a guardian angel for a teenage girl who's trying to find herself. But, Mom, I want to go to art school. Don't worry, I got your back, Sherry.
The irony is that the whole story arc with Josh Hartnett's character and his wife in the comics ends like that.
That's true.
They become a guardian angel of this house.
Good point. I also am just glad that Josh Hartnett is in this because I actually like Josh Hartnett as an actor.
I do too, and I thought he did really, really well, and he was really relatable. One like character that threw me off because I didn't know who he was when I watched the movie, so when I rewatched it, is that the guy who plays Deathstroke in Arrow?
Yeah.
He's his best friend.
Oh, shit.
In the movie, yeah.
That throws me off.
Yeah, that threw me off, too.
Your best friend is Deathstroke, and he's not whooping ass left and right?
No, he's a little bitch in the movie. Anyways,
man.
But yeah, I definitely say give it a watch, especially, like, the little CGI they have, like, holds up, definitely, and, like... It's very cool to see, like, this super contrast to how vampires are portrayed nowadays. And, post-Twilight stuff. Because vampires still have that stigma from the whole Twilight phase. Like,
it's kind of died out.
It has.
But...
Because they're not real vampires in that movie, in that story. But, yeah. And so, like, I definitely say give it a watch. Oh, one last scene I want to touch on. Sorry, I just remembered. So, like, when how it shows a weakness of the vampires... It's so fucking funny. It's because the grandma of Josh Hartnett, she's a huge pothead because she has to use it for, like, I forget what kind of disease she has. It's like, it's not like a terrible disease or whatever, but she has to smoke pot for it. So she has her whole entire greenery in her shack, and so she has to use, because they live in Alaska where it's 30 days out of the year, it's pure darkness. Josh Hartnett ends up having to use one of the lights because it produces as much UV light as the sun.
Yeah.
So it keeps the pot lamps going, and he uses it on one of the vampires, and it burns her skin.
Yeah.
And you see the other vampires, like, look at her in such disappointment because she was that stupid and eager to try and get him, and she runs into that. like she ran into a trap because all the other vampires knew it was a trap, especially the head vampire. And he just looks at her and she's all like antsy, and he's just like and she just runs without him saying anything. And you see the disappointment in his eyes as she runs. And then when she's like burning, he's just looking at her like, "You dumb bitch."
You had it coming.
Yeah,
you wouldn't listen. You just wouldn't listen.
Yeah, and so some fun facts about the movie. As we actually said, the vampires speak a completely original language. It was created for the film with the help of linguistics professor at a New Zealand university. I think that's actually really cool that they created an entire language just for the vampires.
Dope.
And while it was shot in New Zealand, even though it takes place in Alaska, nearly half of the cast is actually Kiwi or Australian. Let's see. Josh Hartnett did most of his own stunts. I thought that was really cool. That's pretty cool. Oh, this is a nice one. Picture of Steve Niles, who wrote the original comic book, actually hangs in the attic hideout. So you can see who actually wrote the comic for it.
Right on.
Yeah, and then, I think Matt would actually like this one. The little girl vampire has arm tattoos that are visible for a few frames. The stick figure-like tattoo on her right arm is the logo of a German industrial band. Oh my god. Einstürzend Neobaten.
That was way better than if I tried to.
Yeah.
I just want to read one more for yours because I thought this is like cool of like Josh's Hartnett commitment to the movie was that apparently in the DVD commentary, Josh Hartnett was sick with mono for 2 weeks of filming. During that period, he had to fly to Venice, London, New York, and Los Angeles for premieres of The Black Dahlia.
Damn.
So
he was down for this movie.
He was a hard-ass worker.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what'd you do your comic book movie on?
So, you know me, I'm always going to try to like find a fresh take on how I'm going to do a review in some sort of way to challenge myself a little more. So.
Oh yeah.
When like and you actually helped me out with this one because I was struggling because there was like a lot that I wanted to do. Originally, I was going to do Blade because I thought that was a really good one, and then you were
especially because like everyone's saying it's like, oh, Deadpool's a first rated R Marvel film.
Yeah, shut up.
False. And also like Black Panther's the first black lead.
False.
Blade.
And so you kind of
African American, sorry.
because I was also like even thinking like Hellboy because this like falls in line with what we're doing.
Yeah, because even though Hellboy's loved, like it's a cult classic because it didn't do the best in theaters.
So the movie that I chose to do that you helped me out with finding was Constatine.
Yeah,
I decided to do
one everyone forgets about.
And you shouldn't, and I will tell you why. So Constatine came out in 2005 and was directed by Francis Lawrence, written by Jamie Delano and Garth Ernest. Good old Garth Ernest.
Oh crap! They actually wrote it.
Yeah, I know.
And they wrote the comics.
Yep.
So that also shows why you people shouldn't fucking hate on this. God damn.
It stars Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz, and I always have a hard time pronouncing this guy's name, but Jimon Hunsu. Hansu? I always have a hard time pronouncing his name.
Yeah, it's okay.
I really don't mean to. I do try my best. And also Shia LaBeouf's in here. And
young Shia LaBeouf.
A young Shia LaBeouf when he was a little more
sane,
put together, one might say. And the synopsis is: the supernatural detective John Constantine helps a policewoman prove her sister's death was not a suicide, but something more. And so I want all of our listeners to understand that I haven't read the comics yet, and that's why I wanted to do this movie review, because I feel like this is a good movie that gets you into the comics and gets you want to read them. And through my review, I'm gonna point out why.
I agree, because like I haven't read the comics, but every time I watch this movie, it makes me want to read it. Because my few friends that have read the comics and seen the movie, they trash this movie so bad, saying it's nothing like the comics. But like,
you guys need to understand. The movies, we're reviewing them on a different scale because we're not going to compare them to the comics because pure and simple, the movie is going to miss a few points that the comics hits on really well.
I mean, we had to learn that with the MCU because like how much critique I had on Captain America, the First Avenger, and then the same with you on Thor. Like as much as we loved those movies, we're like the comics better.
So you guys really got to understand, we love this movie as its own thing, and you got to kind of do the same. I mean, or if you don't want to, it's your life. Do whatever the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. So going into this, So my pros for Constantine is that I fully believe that this is one of Keanu Reeves' more underappreciated movies that he's ever been in. Because the way he portrays as John Constantine throughout is he's spot on. Like, and I think Keanu Reeves is just such an underappreciated talent in general within cinema as is. And again, like he is John Constantine to me. He is, and I understand there's a very solid show that people love that was on the CW. And I haven't watched it, to be fair, but Keanu Reeves is always going to be the John Constantine to me. He's always going to be the one I think of, and in this movie he really shows it and he proves it, and I think that really helps this movie and really sells it. I also love the fact that in the beginning of this movie it's fucking in your face and it's dope and it's awesome because it starts off with him exercising a little girl, getting a demon outside of her, and so like there's a point where has to trap the demon within a mirror, but the demon's like trying to jump out of the little girl's skin by coming through like the throat.
Yeah,
and so like as the demon comes through the door, comes through the throat, is trying to, John Constantine's like, fuck no, and just punches her. He punches the little girl's throat to punch a demon, and I thought I was like, yes. I fucking love this. And there's a solid cast actually throughout this entire movie. Like, there is a lot of stars in this movie that are very solid and are all really great actresses and actors. And just a few of them.
I always forget that Rachel Weisz is in it.
Yeah, because like we said, Shia LaBeouf's in this, Max Baker, Pruitt Taylor Vince, Gavin Rossdale, Tilda Swinton, and even more are all in this movie, and it's a really well done, thought out cast.
So you know what I find actually really funny about Tilda Swinton being Gabriel?
What?
It's because Gabriel's a male angel and stuff like that. I think it's funny that she's one of the few actresses that like doesn't have to go through hardcore makeup because she's very what's the word?
Natural.
Not natural. It's the where it's like that term where it's like you don't really, you can kind of pass as boy or girl.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember what exactly that term is. I don't know. It's like it's a
but
beauty
I
thing.
get what you're saying. She could play either role,
and
she does a very good job at portraying as Gabriel, and everyone in this movie.
She's really good.
Yeah,
as Gabriel.
she sells it. She does a really good job, and everyone who plays the roles in this movie does really good. And it's also just nice to see a young Shia LaBeouf when he's eager to do a role. I'm not saying
when people actually wanted to see his movies.
I know. Shia, we miss you. Come back to us.
Seriously, Holes was great. I actually really liked him in Holes.
Yeah, come back. Baby, come back.
You can blame it all on me.
And so the cast is also something I really like about this movie. And normally I like an unheard of cast in movies, but I think this cast works perfect for this.
Yeah.
And also it does a fresh take on a lore that's only been touched on in other movies, and that's basically like lore within like Catholic religion.
Yeah.
And so it takes like this really cool fresh take on it of like son of Satan, artifacts, lore of hell, why there's a balance within the movie. That's literally what it's called, is the balance. And it's just nice and cool to see like this really cool lore made of Sunday school scriptures. Like it's dope and it's enthralling and you want to learn more about it. And that's something that really is a huge pro for me in this movie, is that it's a fresh take on a lore, because there's not many other movies that really delve into religious lore as much. I mean, I think, what is it, the one with Anthony Hopkins? It's a recent movie. The Right. I think that one kind of delves a little bit more into it as well.
That one does. End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger does too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, not many movies really delve into it as much, and I think Constantine, this movie really does a good job for that, especially for its 2-hour and 1-minute runtime. Also, I really like the unique methods Constantine uses throughout the entire movie for all of his investigations.
Yeah.
Like, the way he can visit hell and the backstory of that is really cool. The way he traps demons, the way he fights demons, all of it's kind of like Batman and MacGyver decided to get religious in a way. And I
still like the way he has to hold that cat's face. The cat's just staring at him like meow,
meow, dude, meow.
And he's just staring at it, and he's like holding the cat's face like, "You will show me."
Oh man. And some of the makeup effects in this movie are really good. Mm-hmm. I want to say why, but I feel like it would give a spoiler away if I did, and I don't want to do that. But I will say a lot of the makeup effects, so the non-CG effects are really, really good in this movie.
It's somewhat of a spoiler, but if you know, like, the lore of John Constantine, so half-breeds, that's when a demon can kind of come up to Earth, but it's, like, half human, half demon.
And it's the same for angels.
Yeah. There's a scene where you see the effect of a half-breed.
Yeah, and you do meet Balthazar in this movie, and you do get to see his face. I won't say how, but you do get to see, like, his actual face, and I'm fairly certain that's actual effects, not CG. And it's done very, very well, and I like that.
Because he's ugly.
He is an ugly mother effer.
Not even a mother could love that face. Just saying.
With a name like Balthazar. And the effects of this movie are actually dope. Like,
they still hold up too.
They're fucking cool. Like, they're cool to look at, and that's a good thing. It's good when effects are cool and they're not just trying to be like, over the top, and they're not over underwhelming, where they're right in the middle of that, and that's what this movie does. It's cool effects. It is cool to watch, and I think my favorite scene is, like, near the final act when he's in this room within a hospital, and he turns on ignites the the sprinkler system. Yeah, the fire sprinkler system, and there's a whole fight scene within that room, and it's cool. It's cool effects, and that's what I like about it. Is that it's cool. And I don't know how many more times.
Every time that he's in hell, like, you're on the edge of your seat, like, shit,
it's like, dope.
It looks so good.
It's dope. I have some comments about that, but we'll get to that in a second. So, moving a little forward, near to the end of this movie, this isn't a spoiler, so don't freak out, anyone. But the actor who plays Satan in this movie, which is Peter Stormare. Stormare, sorry, Peter Stormare.
That was perfect casting.
Does a perfect job as Satan.
He steals the movie, in my opinion. That's like my favorite.
When he finally appears, movie. It is so fucking good. It is like he's spot on with his character, and I don't want to say any more about that because it is something you have to see because he does such a good job.
Yeah, and like the one thing that I think is really funny about that part too, though, is like, you can see how much of a dick John Constantine really is, because he's just, instead of calling him, Satan or Lucifer, like, being, because he's technically religious hierarchy in a sense, even though it's, like, on the wrong end. But, like, through hierarchies, you want to call him by the full name, and Constantine's just sitting there like, "Sup, Lou? How's it going, Lou?"
And that's what I love about Keanu, because he sells the whole, like, dude attitude, like fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie. And lastly, for my pros, is that it's probably been done in the comics, but in a movie, I would love to see a Constantine and Hellboy crossover. I think that would be fucking dope to see. I don't know if it's done in the comics, but I feel like it might have.
I don't know if they did Hellboy. I know Constantine has a crossover with Sandman.
Yeah.
That one's really good. Yeah. It's in the beginning before Sandman had his own thing.
Right.
Which, sorry, just a little, like, off thing. Sandman's getting his own universe now, like in the comics. Yes. Neil Gaiman's like taking over and everything.
Yes,
because like it's corresponding with the new release of the Fantastic Four, because like they're releasing new comics for him, and it's also in continuum alongside the release of the Sandman universe, which I'm so excited about because I love those comics.
Right. No,
I actually hope
it's going to be dope.
I hope they never turn those into a series or a movie. But as cool as it would be, I don't think you can do Sandman real justice.
But I want a Constantine Hellboy crossover in the movie, because that would be would be the Avengers of paranormal fights.
Oh, they'd just be shit talking each other.
I know, that would be Hellboy, the banter. Can you imagine that banter? It'd be so fucking funny the entire time.
See Ron Perlman's Hellboy just like shit talking, was like, "This is how you kill a demon," blap, and then Constantine's like, "No, this is how you do it."
And he just fucking punches one. Because that was also one of my favorite scenes in this movie, is that he has brass knuckles that are blessed.
Yeah.
And he just fucks up a demon with him, and he's just like, "Oh, bitch, hell no." He just fucks him up, and oh man, that'd be so funny. It's just like, I can just imagine like him just like, where they first interact, like,
because it'd be in a fight.
Constantine would think that Hellboy isn't like actual demon trying to come to take over and whatnot. And so he would just punch him in the face, and I could just imagine just like the comeback from like Hellboy. That would be fucking, oh god, I want this crossover. I'm saying it now, people start retweeting, start making posts on Facebook, reach out to people. Let's get a Constantine and Hellboy crossover.
Yeah, right. Like held up by Guillermo del Toro and Garth Ennis.
Right.
Fuck.
Holy shit. Why isn't this a thing? We need this to happen.
It's just hope.
Fuck Pitch Perfect 4. I want this. Oh, man. So I do have my fair share of cons, and we're running a little over time, but fuck it, whatever. It's our podcast. So my cons is, so the cool dude attitude does weigh a little thin in some scenes of this movie where he's a little more douchey than anything in some scenes. So, like, for example, like early on in the movie when he's at the doctor's office and he's smoking, he starts smoking within, the hospital, and she's like, that's the reason why you're sick. And he's like, whatever, and just keeps smoking. Like, when you watch the movie, you understand why he is the way he is, but it just comes on a little too thin sometimes, where he's just a little too douchey. So it's kind of hard to like him. And I understand that's the point. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
But just sometimes it's a little too much. Not enough to ruin the movie, but that's all I'm just getting at. And some of the CG isn't the greatest in this movie. So, key point, there's some points where he's walking through hell where it doesn't really add up too well, and it's probably like the first time he does walk through hell that he's just kind of a little more stagnant. But the CG does get better throughout the movie. But the one scene that really ruined the CG early on for me was the cow scene where the guy is walking with the Spear of Destiny through a field of cows, and they all just start to kind of fall over. You can tell it's CG. Yeah. And I mean, I get it. It's not like you can have actual, like, real-life cows fall over. You would, get into so much shit.
And although it's 2005.
Although, it would be kind of funny if you think about it, just see, like, one dude running around to push over each cow. I was like,
cow tipping.
Moo! Moo! Did we get the shot? Nope, we gotta do it again. God damn it!
Pick the cow up. Pick up. Come on, Betty.
Can you imagine if it's just like fake cows and it's just, again, it's one dude. It's just a fucking intern running through a field of fake cows to push him over. And he's just like,
oh my god. And the way they like did it for the movie is they had him like in a Green Man suit so they could CG him as a demon doing it.
And he got fucking paid. He's like,
that's why cows tip over at night. It's not because some asshole little kid's going up and going, moo. It's actually some demon going,
like, the demon's not very powerful. All he can do is just kind of do pranks. Like, he's a shitty demon. He's a shitty demon. But like, so that scene, like, you can tell the CG is not too hot. And I understand it's a product of its time in that aspect, but when we're talking about CG and we're, giving a second chance for his movies, I hold it as a thing if the CG holds up.
Yeah.
So for half this movie, it holds up really well. For some parts, it doesn't do too well. So keep that in mind. Also, there's a point early on in this movie where, like, a demon, like, takes the shape of, like, a bunch of bugs to make his body. Mm-hmm. And he starts fighting with Constantine in public in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, doesn't, and, like, cars are driving by and no one, like, stops to, like, check it out.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, nope.
But I'm just
not
like,
today, Satan.
So I'm like, either two things are happening. Either, one, everyone can see the demon and everybody's just like, it's California. Or no one can see the demon and Constantine's just rolling around by himself, punching air, and everybody's just like, it's California.
I'm going to go with both.
So that seems just kind of weird. I'm like, really? This is fucking, okay, whatever. No, it's cool. Also, there's a 76 gas station in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's old. Also, it would be nice to know why Constantine gets special, like, access to ongoing investigations. Oh, yeah. So, because, kind of spoiler, not too big of one, though, one of his friends dies in this movie early on. Mm-hmm. And so he goes to the crime scene and the police just kind of let him walk in. And as far as I know, Constantine isn't, like, a special investigator or anything like that. He just fights for, to put demons back where they belong who get out of line, right? So I'm like, does everyone know this? Does he just go around and be like, hi, I'm your local demon fighter? And if so, no one would take him seriously. Like, okay, crazy guy. So, like,
Okay.
did he just come up to the investigation? People are like, oh, just let him in. Let him do his thing. He'll walk away. He thinks he can see crosses and demons and shit. It's whatever. Just let him do it. And so, like it doesn't really explain why he gets special access. And I think that would be nice if they really delved into that a little bit more. And early on, there isn't too much chemistry between Keanu Reeves and Rachel Weisz. Mm-hmm. It just seems like they try a little too hard in certain scenes, and this is early on. Later on in the movie, they definitely have a better chemistry, but a little earlier on, it's kind of like they're in a movie together.
Yeah, okay. So this kind of goes again to one of my cons about the movie is like, as much as I do like Keanu Reeves as Constantine, like I thought he did a pretty decent job. I don't like that he talks like this throughout the whole movie.
The gruff voice.
Yeah, because like. Okay, so...
Don't swear to God, swear to me.
Yeah.
Swear to me.
Mostly because, like, I know he's trying to have, like, that cool attitude.
The cool guy.
Cool guy attitude, but, like, Constantine's... Because, like, from the crossovers I've read him in, and even, like, just seeing him in, like, the Arrow shows and stuff like that, the Arrowverse, is that, like, he's a very loud, obnoxious type dude. Like, because, he's British. Right. Like, that's one thing that I actually think they should have done is like, because they were very well known British actors and stuff like that at that time. I think that probably would have fit well. Like, it doesn't bug me that he's not blonde haired, blue eyed like he is in the comics.
Well, and that's why sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I was just gonna say that's why I really like Keanu Reeves as it, because I understand it should have been an English actor, but for an American actor, I think he did a fucking good job.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think he did a good job. I just think he should have been a little bit more. I don't know, not as like. Cool, suave, like I'm this guy.
So my only argument against
that's the only thing I just think he shouldn't have talked gruffy.
So my only argument against that is in the movie you find out that he's dying from I think it's like emphysema or
cancer.
He's dying from lung cancer. So my only argument is that his voice is gruff because of how much he has smoked, because they make it apparent throughout the movie that he's about to die from his lung cancer, and so. That my guess is the only reason he went with that voice, aside from the whole cool guy aspect, is because he smokes.
I guess that could be it.
So that's my only argument. I don't know if that was the actual reason, but that's just my argument against it. Couple other cons, and then I'll get to my trivia. So there's a point where Rachel Weisz's character wants to go to hell to accomplish a mission, and so the way they do it is that they fill up a bathtub, and it's like you basically have to suffocate her or something. They don't really explain why she has to be fully submerged in the bathtub full of water. They don't really explain it, and
she has to be near death.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you kind of catch on to that, but they don't fully like explain that, and you can either take that as a pro or con, whether it's spoon-fed or not, to you. But it doesn't explain. Can anyone go visit hell that's in a bathtub full of water, or is it only certain people that can do it? And they don't really say, like, if it is. And I understand that they probably hint at it, but when you're introducing a fresh take on a lore and you're introducing a story that no one's really read, or not read, sorry, no one's really seen aside those who read the comic, you kind of gotta like explain that stuff a little more thoroughly.
Isn't he saying incantations though? Because I know like one of the things like at least from the comic is that like when it's because Constantine can do it. I think as long as he's like holding on to someone, they can go too. And so he's touching her.
They don't explain that.
Yeah, no, I was just saying.
Yeah, and he didn't say.
I thought he was saying incantations during that part.
Nope, I didn't see him say anything, and if he did, I missed it. But they don't really explain it. It's just like anyone could do it. So I'm like, if you want to go on vacation for like a day, I guess you can go to hell.
Literally.
And lastly, and this is always something that's bugged the shit out of me, and I understand why they did it, but it still always bugs the shit out of me, is that is whenever this happens in movies, basically. So near towards when Constantine goes to confront Balthazar, he gives Rachel Weisz's character a Holy Trinity necklace, and he basically tells her like, think of this as a bulletproof vest. So basically, if a demon attacks her, she's not going to die or anything like that. Like,
yeah, she can't. They can't touch her.
And so she, chooses to follow him after he tells her not to, which that's fine. I have nothing against that. But she leaves the necklace, and I'm like, if you're gonna go fight something you've never fought before and you have protection, why would you fucking leave the protection behind? Because he's told her, I'm like, in the beginning of the movie, he's like,
she even sees it.
Like, he's like, guns don't work against these things.
Yeah.
And she takes her gun, but not the Holy Trinity necklace. And that just bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to accept, like, oh, it's like a strong woman character
No,
decision.
because she even sees demons before that part.
Because
like,
even if a dude did it, I would still be, like, annoyed by it. Because it's just like, you have your kind of ace in the hole to protect yourself here, and you're leaving it behind. What the fuck is wrong with you? Mm-hmm. Like, and that just, I hate it when that happens. And I understand why they did it, but in the following scenes, it doesn't justify why she left the necklace behind. And it just, that kind of really bugs the shit out of me the entire time. And it just, it's just, that, I hate it. I hate it when movies do that. And it just makes me angry. I understand she did it as a rebellious nature because she finally wants to do something to find her sister and solve this case. But again, if you're going to bring a gun to protect yourself from criminals, bring the Holy Trinity necklace to protect yourself from demons. It's the same fucking thing. Come on, people.
Yeah.
Like, with that, being said, my trivia for this movie, I'm going to go ahead and start going into that, the little interesting tidbits and things to, keep in mind when watching this movie. So in Constantine's line, in when she says that he doesn't want Angela to be another ghost following him around, is a reference to the comics, where he's haunted by the ghosts of friends who have died because of him. And the look of hell was based on old footage of nuclear tests, specifically the sudden shockwave immediately after the blast that disintegrated anything in its path, hence the crumbling landscape.
Speaking of Hellboy, can I read this one?
Go for it.
The original title, Hellblazer, was changed because it was too similar to Hellboy, which came out in 2004. The movies were scheduled to be released within a short space of time between them, and it was decided that having such similar titles would hurt the sales of tickets. Therefore, Hellblazer was changed to Constantine.
So there you go. So stop complaining about it, people.
No,
I know. I saw this too. And so another reason why we need a Hellboy Constantine crossover, and this could work, is that the Spear of Destiny prop is the same one as used in Hellboy in 2004. So I'm just saying. Also,
so cool comic fact. The character of John Constantine was originally created by Alan Moore during his run on DC's comics Swamp Thing. However, following his negative experience with From Hell 2001 and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen 2003, Moore decided to reject all money and credit from Hollywood on any adaptations of his work. Thus, he gave all the money he would have gotten to the artist who drew the character with him, and rejected his own created by credit from the film.
And lastly, this was I was originally going to make this a con during my review. So there's a scene in the movie where he burns all these demons with a rag. And so it never explains what the rag is, but just so you guys know, and they should have included this in the movie, but that rag, according to the director's commentary on the DVD, the rag that Constantine lights on fire to defeat the flying demons is a piece of Moses' shroud, given to him by Beeman, one of the characters within the movie. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I
think this is kind of a cool one.
Okay, we'll make that the last one if you want to read it.
Yeah, so in the movie, when they find the Spear of Destiny, it's wrapped in a Nazi flag, and they actually destroyed the flag after shooting the movie to prevent it from falling into the hands of neo-Nazis. See, fuck Nazis. Seriously, I can't, that has to be a thing nowadays. The sad thing is that can't be a thing anymore, but fuck Nazis.
Fuck off, Nazi
Seriously, fuck Nazis. You know who to go to kill, cannon fodder is in video games? Nazis. You know why? Everyone fucking hates Nazis.
Everyone hates Nazis.
So fuck Nazis.
Fuck Nazis.
God.
With that being said, I love this movie, and I think it doesn't deserve all the hate that it gets because it's good on its own. It does a great job, and it's one of Keanu Reeves' more underappreciated roles, and it deserves that love. And I understand when you're a fan of the comics, you're going to be super critical. All I can say is, with how Cody mentioned his criticism of the first Captain America movie and my criticisms of the first Thor movie, let it go. Let it be its own thing, and learn to enjoy it as something separate. Think of it as another take on the tale, and just give it a shot, because it's a good horror action flick, and it's fun to watch, and it's cool, and it has its own fresh take on a lore that's not really touched on, and it deserves its attention. It deserves it, and it's honestly one of probably the more tame of terrifying like horror movies that you could watch with, other people that aren't, ready for, horror just yet. So if you're trying to get your friends and more into horror movies, start them off with something like this. See how they react to the demons and the creatures, and stuff like that. Because it's a cool movie. It's fun to watch, and I enjoyed it. And I think you guys will enjoy it too if you go in with the mindset of, it's its own thing. Let's watch it for that.
Yeah, that's how the Netflix shows do really well. The Punisher series, is definitely anywhere near like the comics, but it's still great.
Right.
Because it's its own thing.
It's its own thing. With that being said, listeners, we're going to have to close out the show. You can listen to us wherever you can get a podcast. So we're on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Player FM, Stitcher. Or you can listen to our episodes on our website, punkrockhorrorpodcast.com, which, when you listen to this, is still under construction. So do keep that in mind if you do go on over there. Mm-hmm. We're also on YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel to where you can listen to us. And am I missing any? I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe I'm not.
iTunes, Spotify, not Twitcher.
Stitcher.
I
already said Stitcher.
Player FM?
Yep, already said it.
Cool.
Then, yeah, I got everything. And if you want to consider supporting the show and supporting us, please head on over to our Patreon, Punk Rock Horror Podcast. We're over there. We're still working on, updating our rewards. And with that being said, if you want to keep up with everything that we're doing, please like us and follow us on Facebook, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, and our Twitter, official PHP, which I need to change to PHRP.
Yep, and then on Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, and our new hashtag PHRP Podcast.
So just to clarify, guys, the reason we're changing from PHP to PHRP is to avoid any copyright issues, because there is another company out there that does have PHP as their own thing. And so we're just doing it to avoid any issues that happen before they do happen.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and change that today and change it to official PHRP, fix that up. I should get it done today. With that being said, I feel like there was one other thing we need to touch on. If you want to send your strange stories and band info, please send it to our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. And if you like us...
Oh, same with... Because our past couple of interviews have also been with comic book artists and stuff like that. So if you're doing, horror literature in any way, send us the thing. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll bring you on the show, interview you, get to know your creations, and we'll definitely... We'll talk you guys up, because it's great, and we love horror. And this in the horror community and punk rock community is a great community to be part of. I think that covers everything, basically.
Yep.
With that being said, thank you again, everyone, ghouls and gals, for tuning in, listening to us talk about horror and make the things we love and hate. With that being said, podcast over.
Podcast over.
Bye.
Bye.